My wife, if you're watching this, please don't cry. I don't know where you're sitting right now. Maybe on the edge of the bed. Maybe curled up on the couch with a blanket pulled to your chest. Maybe holding your breath, already sensing something's different. But if you pressed play, then I need you to hear this slowly. Please don't cry. Not yet. Not until you understand why I made this video. This isn't a goodbye. It's not a message of regret or pain. It's not even about something going wrong. It's about truth. The kind of truth I didn't know how to say face to face. Because when I look into your eyes, I forget my words. I forget how to be strong. So I'm saying it here. So you can pause, rewind, breathe. So you can hear everything I've held in piece by piece. You've loved me in ways I never imagined I'd be loved. Not just when things were sweet, but when life got loud. When I shut down. When I failed to show up the way a husband should. And you never walked away. You didn't nag. You didn't throw my flaws in my face. You waited quietly, with patience I didn't deserve. And now, I owe you the one thing I should have given you long ago. The full story. I've replayed this in my head 1,000 times. How I'd say it. How I'd start. How I'd look at you without breaking. But every time I tried in person, the words would lock in my throat. Because the last thing I ever want to do is make you hurt. But here's the truth. Softly and plainly, I've been carrying something, not a betrayal, not another person, but a wound I never let you see. Long before you came into my life, there were things I never healed from, things I buried so deep, I convinced myself they were gone, but they weren't. And slowly, quietly, they started showing up in how I loved you. In the distance I created on the days I didn't even understand my own feelings. In the way I shut down during arguments instead of staying present. In the way I sometimes left you holding our problems alone while I sat in silence, pretending I didn't feel anything. But I did. I felt everything. And the worst part? I saw it in your eyes. The confusion, the worry, the way you wondered if I still saw you the same, when in reality you were the only thing that ever felt safe to me. I just didn't feel safe with myself. That's the truth I've been hiding. Not because I didn't trust you, but because I didn't know how to trust myself enough to explain it. And for that silence, I'm sorry. Because I know it made you feel alone. And that's the one thing I promised I'd never let happen. There's something else I haven't said, and it's not easy, but it's real. I started to pull away, and you noticed. You asked if everything was okay. You said, "You've been quiet lately. What's going on?" And I gave you the easy answer. I'm just tired. But it wasn't tired. It was fear. Fear that I couldn't be the man you believed in. Fear that one day you'd look at me and see someone you regret loving. So I did what I've always done when I feel small inside. I got distant. I know you felt it. You'd reach for my hand in bed, and some nights I'd pretend I was asleep. Not because I didn't want to hold you, but because I didn't want you to feel my shaking hands. I didn't want you to ask again, because I didn't have the right words to say back. You've always been so soft with me, so patient, so gentle when I didn't even deserve it. And the truth? You've been carrying more than your share of this marriage, and I saw it even when I acted like I didn't. I watched you smile through your hurt. I watched you serve love even when you were empty. I watched you show up over and over again for someone who didn't have the courage to tell you how lost he was inside. But this video, this is me choosing not to hide anymore. Because I can't let you keep wondering if you did something wrong. You didn't. You've been everything I prayed for, and more. I just didn't know how to be a husband who could receive love without questioning if he deserved it. I need to take you back to one specific night. You were in the kitchen, hair tied up, soft music playing, moving around like you always do when you're trying to stay calm. You thought I didn't notice, but I did. You were tired. I could see it in how your shoulders sank when you thought no one was looking. And I remember standing in the doorway, watching you quietly, knowing I should have said something. Held you, helped you. But instead, I turned around and walked out of the room. That moment still eats at me because I wasn't mad at you. I wasn't cold. I wasn't trying to ignore you. I was ashamed that I had nothing to give you that night. Ashamed that I watched the woman I love carry the weight of two people while I stood frozen in my own head. You've always been so strong, but I hate that I ever made you need to be that strong. You should have had someone holding you up, not quietly falling apart while pretending to be fine. And I want you to know this. You never had to earn my love. You never had to prove your worth. You were always enough, long before I knew how to say it right. That night, it changed me, because it showed me the difference between having love and showing love. But I didn't know how to pour it back into you the way you deserved. So from that night on, I started learning quietly, privately. I started writing letters I never gave you, practicing words I never said. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't trust myself to get it right. But I'm trying now. And this video, this is me, finally saying what I should have said that night, and every day since. There's something else I need to tell you. Something that sat heavy on my chest for months. Something I think you felt, even when I never said it. I started believing you'd be better without me. Not because I didn't love you, but because I didn't love myself. You gave everything: time, patience, forgiveness, and me. I gave half of myself, thinking it was safer that way, thinking that if I stayed behind the wall, I couldn't disappoint you. But that's exactly what I did, didn't I? I disappointed you by not showing up all the way. I know now that love isn't just about showing up when it's easy. It's about choosing each other in the hard, in the silence, in the confusion. You did that for me, again and again, and I left you guessing. You tried so hard to fill the space I created. Tried to make up for my silence with your words, for my absence with your presence. And I saw it. I saw you shrinking, just to keep the peace. Saw you smiling through uncertainty, acting strong, so I wouldn't feel guilty for being weak. And I hated that. Not you, never you, but what I allowed. So when I say, please don't cry, it's not because I don't think your tears matter. It's because if you cry, it means I made you carry pain that was never yours to carry. I'm saying this now because I want to take that weight off your shoulders. Not with flowers or promises, but with truth. I failed to love you the way you deserved, but I never stopped loving you. Not even once. You know, they always say real love is about showing up. And now, looking back, I see how often you showed up for both of us, while I stayed in my own head. There were days I'd sit right beside you on the couch, watching your hand rest near mine, but I couldn't reach for it. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't feel worthy of being held. I'd stare at you, at the way you laughed, even when your eyes looked tired, at the way you asked how I was doing. Even when you were the one clearly hurting, you kept showing up, and I kept sinking. And I want you to understand something that's hard for me to admit. You weren't the problem. I was, but not in the way people usually mean it. I was the one stuck between who I wanted to be and who I believed I actually was. I kept thinking, she's going to figure it out one day. She's going to realize I'm not as strong as she thinks. But you never needed perfect. You just needed real, honest, present, and I see that now. Too late to erase the distance, but not too late to come forward and say everything clearly. I want to start again, not with flowers and dinner plans, but with understanding. I want to sit beside you, not as a man hiding behind silence, but as someone finally willing to be fully here. No more guessing, no more holding back the parts of me that feel too messy. Because loving you silently, that was the easiest thing. Loving you out loud is what I'm learning now. If you've made it this far, then I know you haven't given up on me. Even with all the silence, the distance, the things I failed to say when it mattered most, you're still here, watching, listening, trying to understand a man who didn't always make it easy to love him. And I need you to hear this next part clearly. I never stopped choosing you, even in the moments when I seemed cold, even on the days I said very little, even when my eyes looked tired and my heart felt far. I was choosing you, but I was doing it the wrong way. I thought staying quiet was strength. I thought pulling back was how I could protect you from my mess. But all it did was build a wall between us. And that wall, you tried so many times to tear it down, with patience, with kindness, with love. And I left you standing on the other side, waiting. So now, I'm tearing it down myself, brick by brick, with these words, with this truth. Because I finally realized something that should have been clear from the start. You didn't want the fixed version of me. You just wanted the real one. The one who's scared sometimes. The one who overthinks. The one who messes up but still chooses you at the end of every thought. And that's who I am. I'm not perfect. I'm not always calm. I don't always have the right words. But what I do have, and what I've always had, is you in my heart. And now, I'm done hiding behind silence. This isn't a goodbye. This isn't a cry for attention. This is a start. A fresh one. A hard one. But a real one.